You don't want to answer questions. That's why you're not coming back to the capital.
No. You know, since COVID-19, we discovered that actually we can work from anywhere and everywhere, Ken. So you don't have an excuse for not having invited me. You know, I'm available 24/7.
We really want you on the round table, especially for Kivumbi 2022. Your perspectives are really helpful. You have participated in the last few elections, and definitely we're looking forward to your perspective on that. And anytime you're in the capital, you have a free seat on our table so that we discuss matters that matter to Kenyans on this. But let's bring the discussion to a start. This is very important. But before I go to the political aspect of our conversation today, Joe, there's a story on page 14 of The Standard, your favorite newspaper, because I can even see it on your table, about this trader who was given 720 million shillings fine, 27 years. In total, it's about 881 million. The money that is in question is 180. You remember Namuye, Catherine, and you remember Bruce Odhiambo, they were co-accused. This kind of sentencing, what kind of message is this sending to people who steal public funds, Joseph?
Thank you very much, Ken. I think this is fantastic messaging from the law that it's expensive, that corruption is expensive, that theft is expensive, that plunder of public resources is expensive. Compare that, for example, to some fellow recently who was fined a paltry, I think it was about 300,000, some fellow apparently involved in some gold scams, scamming people with the pretext of selling them gold. And I think what he took away was 6 million, I think something like that. And then you find that kind of person 300,000. He pays even before you finish putting a dot on that judgment. And then he continues to scam other people, to plunder and steal. So this is a very important message. That's how it ought to be, and especially with people in public office. By the way, so far we've only seen a few of people in public office, that is including MP Waluke, facing that kind of court decision. We need to see more of people in public office who are accused of stealing and plunder.
Okay, so that message is clear. 27, I spoke to George Wajakoya, professor, and he says even 27 years is not sufficient. We should have given them 50 years. And the second thing, the asset recovery team should right now stop the freeze and just take the property as we wait for the appeal. His idea of the fine is $1 billion plus, to be very punitive, or about 50 years, also to make it very punitive for such grand theft, if I may call it as such.
Again, Ken, I absolutely agree with the sentiment, the spirit behind that kind of sentiment. The frustration with the fact that corruption and stealing of public funds, plunder of public office, has affected this country so badly. It's what leads to deaths, it's what leads to floods, it's what leads to accidents on roads, and so on and so forth. I can keep going.
Yes.
We need to send a very powerful message. It's not any wonder countries like China actually just sentenced to death.
Yes, they have.
Okay, I'm not suggesting that we should sentence to death. I think these people should still live, but they should live under circumstances that should show others that do not try. I am waiting for when our courts begin to show that with county officials, county governors, and other county state officers and public officers who are right now engaged in a frenzy of plunder and theft. If we want to save devolution, for it to work for Kenya, this kind of message needs to be sent. And I know it's not for the courts to go for these people. It's for the DCI and Ethics and the Anti-Corruption Commission and also the DPP. If only they could move a little faster with our state and public officers in county governments. We have disaster there unfolding. This message, the sooner it reaches county governments, the better.
Okay. It should be a living example to others. Well said, Simeha. I still want to ask one more question before we go to the search that is happening. The president mini reshuffled the cabinet the other day. The most interesting is Monica Juma of Defense was taken to Energy, Energy taken to Devolution, Devolution taken to Defense. Now, devolution, which you're very passionate about, has been watered down. You know, the asshole was removed from it. And just that reshuffle, But interesting, Kenyans have been crying, Joseph, about the high cost of living. And they're looking at even the fuel prices. Forget about the other things that are unaffordable, are out of reach for majority of Kenyans right now. The most interesting, the reshuffle comes just hours after the president received the task force report that recommended that the lowering of the energy cost from about 24 shillings per kilowatt hour to about 16. Very interesting. I want you to put that in context, the report and the reshuffle. And Monica Juma, remember, PS, Foreign Affairs, CS, Foreign Affairs, yes. CS, Defense, yes. Now Energy. One of the most powerful dockets.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Ken. Thank you very much. I think let me start with that, what you said about devolution, just quickly. First of all, the saving grace is that county governments and counties can actually work pretty well without the Ministry of Devolution. If we just follow the Constitution and the law, they can work.
Okay.
But intergovernmental relations are extremely important. In fact, that ministry should have been named Intergovernmental Relations Ministry or State Department of Intergovernmental Relations. But even if they're not too good, and as long as we follow the law, county governments, counties can work.
Okay.
Maybe that's why Ketere has been taken there, that counties can ignore him and they can still work. Coming to the role of Monica Juma and the Ministry of Energy, I think that the president wanted and wants someone he can trust, a highly trusted person, that if and when he says, deliver this, that person delivers. Given that is one of those departments under which you hear a lot of stories about cartels, you know, cartels in the management of electric power and other forms of energy. I think you want to break those cartels, you need the steel of those military people like the PS Kihalangwa that has been brought there, but you also need someone you trust, whose back you have as the president, and they will deliver it for you. Okay. Someone who has been presiding over someone who has been presiding over these cartels, incubation of these cartels, cannot be trusted to break those cartels. And I think that's why that change is extremely important.
Okay. I was with one of Deputy President William Ruto's supporters here on Wednesday on my show, that's News Hour, Rigathi Gachagua of Mathira, and one of the things he said, this is one of the last punishments that President Uhuru Kenyatta is handing to his deputy, because Charles Keter was among those powerful ministers who are still seen to be allied to Deputy President. So you cannot also avoid politics in this, Simeha. Although it's the discretion of the president right at the top to appoint higher and fire whoever he wishes.
That is possible. Maybe that is the reason. But you see, once someone gives the president the reason, then he can achieve his own agenda in terms of performance of government in his own view, plus the political agenda. Supposing the Minister for Energy, the secretary, cabinet secretary for energy, was performing better than he's been doing. It may take a little more than what it has taken for the president to move him, even if he's perceived to be William Ruto's supporter and appointee in that cabinet. But at the end of the day, all of them are the president's appointees, regardless of the political arrangement they have. So whether it's punishment or not, if the president has that as something he uses to dish out punishment, that is his prerogative.
Okay.
And who can deny him his prerogative?
Okay.
I think they have to just live with that kind of reality.
Yeah, because it's the constitutional duty of the president vested upon him by the Constitution and given by Kenyans as a mandate as a president. Very interesting. Let's begin the search now. And I know it's on for the next president of Kenya. Campaigns are heating up. Everyone is all over the place. You'd think we are voting in December. Yesterday, let me paint the picture for you. Raila Odinga, Musalia Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka, Wamalwa Chris, representing Ford Kenya member of Senator and leader of Ford Kenya, and the man of the day, Gideon Moi. That picture right there at the podium yesterday, what did that picture tell you, Simeha?
That picture, by the way, takes me back to 2017, in the run-up to the elections of 2017, when a number of political parties held their annual delegates conferences or congresses, and in several of them, President Kibaki, then who was also a candidate, not 2017, I'm sorry, I withdraw that, not 2017, 2007, pardon me, 2007.
Yes.
President Kibaki, who was then a candidate, invited as guest of honor, and he went round to these conventions and congresses of the different political parties. And what signal were they sending? The signal they were sending was that you are our choice, we are a different party, but you are our choice for position of president, and we support you.
Yes.
And I think that is what is beginning to emerge. Even though yesterday you saw several presidential candidates, right? Odinga, Kalonzo, no, well, the others haven't quite said, they've said they are yet to give us a candidate. But at least Gideon himself said yesterday that he's being endorsed. Even though you saw several of them there, I think there is a message that is not so explicit that is coming out that we, as KANU, as a party, we are organized to send out this message that we are part of this search.
Yes.
And we are pointing in a direction where our support will go. That is what I'm reading from what is beginning to happen.
Okay. And it's shaping up pretty well. Gideon was big on corruption. I know you had it. Let's analyze the aspects of corruption. There are several things that candidates are going to run on this election. Corruption has been an issue previously, but if you look at the way it was packaged, cutting across all sectors, do these leaders from where you sit understand or have understood right now what Kenyans are looking for? A leader who will be firm against what is making Kenya not move forward. So for him, one of the things that he spoke about was corruption.
To your question, whether these leaders understand, even if they understand, I think the question is, do they buy that, Ken? I'm hesitant. I don't.
Okay.
I'm completely hesitant, not even to give them a benefit of doubt that they buy into that.
Okay.
But you know what? It is good campaign rhetoric, political rhetoric for them. They know that people are concerned about that. They know that voters are distressed by corruption in public office. So that comes out as good messaging for political and campaign purposes. So they are going to use that a lot. They're going to dwell on that. And if you observe the political talk over the last about 1 year, Ken.
Yes.
When, especially from the time of BBI, if you like, and then just after that, when this message of anti-corruption has really pushed to the center of political talk, you begin to get signals about who is the target, who is not the target, who is the favorable, who is not the favorable. So this is the time for political competitors to assign certain profiles on their competitors,
okay,
and some other profiles on themselves or on those they prefer.
Okay. I'll talk about the winning formula shortly. But let me tell you, I just brought it in because I'd like to introduce the aspect of the winning formula. The hustler has taken his formula and is running with it. Look at the formula by Musalia Mudavadi of ANC. He's talking about the economy, revamping the economy. Raila is going for a blend. He's taking the economy, he's taking corruption, which is his pet peeve, pet subject, and obviously Kalonzo Musyoka, if he's going to run for president, he's going to pick his battles wisely to look at what he can run with. But let me take you back to the image before we break that down, because I'm told we have a few minutes, and that is something that is going to take us a little bit time to discuss. Let me go back to that. One of the reasons that Kenyans are skeptic about this meeting, Joseph, is because about a month or so ago, President Uhuru Kenyatta was meeting the OCA leaders. You remember the series of meetings that were happening in Mombasa, and the sentiments were around, is he trying to convince them to hang their ambitions and support Raila Odinga? And when they were also at the podium, Raila did a very clever thing, because I attended it. Right after Raila spoke and the MC called everyone to dance to a song, when they were walking away, Raila Odinga called them back to the stage, held their hands, and that essentially is a photo in the front page of the newspapers. Now this is lending credence to what Kenyans have been suspecting, that perhaps this team will eventually coalesce around one candidate, and that candidate could be Raila Odinga.
Thank you, Ken. But just let's start with real politics, just the reality of our national politics, especially presidential politics. Regardless of the platform on which someone runs, there is what it takes And whether this is good or bad is not what I'm debating. I'm just debating the reality of a presidential run in this country. There is what it takes, and therefore there are those who fit in that league, and there are those who do not fit in that league. That is until Kenyan politics change. That's until we change them. For now, a number of people who have said they want to be presidents, most of them are just wannabes because they cannot fit in that league. With total respect to all of them, they cannot fit in that league. That is why they have to ally with people like Raila, of stature of Raila Odinga.
Okay.
The one person who has really worked his way, literally pushed his way to the table of that league is William Ruto.
Okay.
That, like him or hate him, you have to give him his due. But for the others, they have to seek alliances in order to sort of be close to that league. So yes, part of what has been happening has been to persuade them, come together, so that you can stand a better chance of defeating a candidate who is not in favor of our interests. Interests that are shared by the elite in that group, that corner.
Interests?
Yeah,
proceed.
Yeah, so I say this is based on what is most powerful, beyond just persuading the electorate, Ken. It's about amalgamation and articulation of interests. And this is about elite interests. Even when you hear people say our interests as a community, our interests as Mount Kenya, our interests as this region, our interests as the Luhya nation, Mlemba nation, is about elite interests. It's not about the interests of watu wa kawaida. And once those have been amalgamated and articulated, then they are used as the premise for bargaining and negotiation. That is what you are seeing now. And that is what I think Oka people are being told, that unless you ally yourself strategically, you will lose out. But of course, I think there's also fear on this other side, which I think includes President Uhuru Kenyatta, that if the Oka group jumps to the other side of William Ruto, there is some significant loss in terms of political support, even if only in terms of perception. There is some significant loss. So they'd rather that all of them be on one side and work with Raila Odinga to face William Samoei Ruto at the presidential ballot.
That statement also mirrors to the kind of weight that the deputy president has right now for everyone to come together for that particular reason. It's very interesting indeed that that will be. But in that formation, how do you think it could pan out? I know ANC has made it clear that there is no support they're bringing once again to Raila Odinga. They are going all the way to the ballot. You see what happened after 2013. Then Kalonzo Musyoka of Wiper has said he used a term on himself to say he will not be supporting Raila Odinga. Gideon Moi has not made that statement, but the statement he has made, and I think he's gone ahead of everyone else. He has gotten endorsement from his political party. He's the first one to get endorsement from his political party to run. And of course, we are going to see this. So that lineup, what will make these gentlemen what will make them, not harbor, but or make them give up that ambition of becoming president to support one of their own, apart from the fact that they want to beat the other candidate? Because that seems to be the overriding factor. If we don't come together, he's likely to win. Let's come together because we stand a better chance together.
Okay, let's just first start with talking about this fear, the fear of threat to interests. It's real. So I think just let's put that away, that the fear of a threat to interests is real. If you ignore it, especially the elite, political and economic elite, later on you suffer the consequences. And people can relate to this after Uhuru Kenyatta, William Ruto came into power immediately after Kibaki. There are certain interests that really thoroughly suffered. After Kibaki came into power in 2003, after the 2002 elections, there are certain political and economic interests that thoroughly suffered. Some have never recovered to date, some have recovered. So that one, first of all, let's just start with that, it's real. Secondly, and they're all gentlemen, the gentlemen you talk about, you know, I've sometimes seen a joke doing rounds on social media about people who survive in politics by merely threatening to run for president. When you see, and this I'll just give as an example, when you see people like Savula and Malala of Kakamega shout themselves hoarse that Musalia Mudavadi must run and will run and will not support anybody.
Yes.
Please take your mind back to 2013. He ran. He ran. How did he perform? This is why I said, much as some people may hate me for this, I think this is the reality of Kenyan politics. Unless you have gathered a certain kind of profile, you have invested and you have this social profile, political profile, and mileage.
Yes.
You have reached that stage where you can play at a certain league that Kenyans recognize. It is very hard for you. Even though you may have all the qualities, it's next to impossible.
Yeah.
So these gentlemen are being persuaded more for form than for substance.
Okay.
These gentlemen are being asked to work with Raila Odinga more for form in terms of perception, of togetherness, of people from across Kenya, than for substance that they can bring sufficient support that can make a difference.
Okay. In Raila's campaign. Okay.
Yes.
Joe, get a glass of water. We're coming back to you with our last question. So stay with News Center. We're back with Joe in a moment. Also, there's a meeting with the IBC and the Registrar of Political